Hello traders, this is Tom Willis from Opteck. Good day to you all. Today it's the 9th of October 2013 and I'm going to talk a bit about what's going on in the United States at the moment, why we had such huge movements yesterday, what affected the market, and how can we proceed with making our analysis as binary option traders. First of all, as you can see, yesterday we've received an announcement uh, approximately an hour and a half before President Obama had his speech. There was a lot of confusion in the market, and we saw that at the beginning of the trading session in the United States, all the indicators, indices, the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, the S&P 500 dropped down significantly. Talking about approximately 1% for the S&P 500, uh, um, the Dow Jones, and 2% on the Nasdaq, which is an enormous drop down, expressing a lot of fear. If you're not familiar with index called the VIX, VIX, it's an index that expresses the fear in the market. And we saw that the VIX is climbing significantly yesterday, expressing a lot of worrying in the market because of the situation in the United States. So basically, Obama was supposed to calm the market, and unfortunately, he went out there broadcasting live saying that he's not seeing any potential of bending toward the demands that he received, and at the moment he's only asking that they'll sit down and talk about that, about the debt issue, about the debt ceiling, and we saw that after the speech of Obama, still the markets continued to collapse. Indices continued to collapse, and I can tell you that a lot of traders were expecting him to calm the market and expected to rejoin the market. Now, on one hand, we can see that the US market is dropping down, and on the other hand, we can see that the dollar gained strength yesterday. A lot of traders are asking why this correlation is happening. And obviously, we understand that um, this correlation is happening because once we've got a lot of fear in the market, we've got a lot of traders that pull funds out of the market. It causes the dollar itself to have a very high demand rate, and that caused the dollar to gain strength in the market, although the markets themselves are falling down. Or every time that we can see that the fear is getting higher and higher, we should expect to see the dollar gaining strength if it's specifically about the US market. But generally, I can already, and I said that yesterday, that fear is already also correlated with a stronger gold in the market. So it's a bit confusing because we know that when the dollar is gaining strength, the gold should lose strength and vice versa. But that's it depends on the market. It depends on what market we're talking about. For example, if we were talking about the European market and we can see fear over there, then obviously that will cause the gold to climb up. Just one second, please. Okay, so let's see what we've got today. Today we had several announcements, and we saw that at 12 a.m. GMT time, we had an announcement from President Obama that he found someone to replace Bernanke. If you want to read more about that, you can open Bloomberg. You can read all about it over there. They explain who she is and how she, what is the perspective, and so and so. But the important issue is that finding a person to change Bernanke's position, to replace Bernanke. It's giving a lot of confidence in the market, and we saw that the future contracts on the Nasdaq, the S&P, and the Dow Jones climbed higher as receiving new confirmation, new um, feeling of confidence in the market, and we can see that many markets are just climbing up lately, and that's obviously a very different movement in front of all the movements that we saw the last week. Let's proceed and see what we've got over here. Just another thing, we saw that the Japanese yen gained a lot of strength during the night trading session, and we will talk about that when we will analyze the charts. So going over the announcements, we've got the US dollar announcement, FOMC meeting. Don't forget that we didn't have the non-farm payroll this Friday, and it was delayed. At the moment, it seems like we're expecting to see that um, later on this week, but again, I wouldn't count on that until they'll understand what their movements is going to be in the United States. So we've got an announcement, a very important one on the US dollar. That's a great indication. The FOMC, as I'm always saying, it's delivering the um, um, potential or it's consulting the federal bank whether to what to do in terms of economy, and this is why announcements from the FOMC are usually market movers. An announcement regarding the euro, we can see that Draghi is going to speak. Every time he's talking, we've got a lot of movement in the market, so we're expecting to see a very volatile markets condition. As you can see, tomorrow it's an enormous day in terms of announcements, unemployment claims, banks are talking. We've got an announcement on the Australian dollar if you're trading during the night time. So we've got a very nice day tomorrow in terms of liquidity, but we can also use today's liquidity to trade on that. Let's go to the chart station and let's see what is our assumption using the current market status. So first of all, let me go to the strength indication. As I said, the Japanese yen gained some strength during the night time. We can see that several currencies climbed higher than 50. Then we know that they are stronger than the Japanese yen, and some currencies stayed below the 50, meaning that they are still expressing weakness in front of it. So generally the Japanese yen is in the middle, approximately in the middle. We can say that the strongest currency at the moment is the New Zealand, and the second is the Australian dollar. And every time that we can see an image like that, the New Zealand and the Australian dollar both at the same area, whether the strongest one, the weakest group, or at the middle, just as if they are approximately the same rate, we know that the market is organized. The market is expressing logical patterns. And if we will see 5 movements and 3 movements, 5 movements and 3 movements, just as the Elliott wave analysis is predicting, then we can rely on structure more than the usual condition. At the moment, we can see that there are 3 very strong currencies in the market: dollar, Australian dollar, and the New Zealand. And we've got 2 very weak currencies, which are the pound and the Swiss franc. All the other are approximately at the middle. The euro is one of the weakest currencies as well. So we've got a great condition in the market to trade today. Swiss franc, euro, pound expressing weakness, New Zealand, Australian dollar, and US dollar expressing strength. Very clear pattern, very clear structure. We've got enough liquidity to trade on, and that's a huge change. We had something like 2 or 3 weeks where all the currencies were approximately at the same rate, and the ability to trade with the confidence that we need as binary option traders trading a very small time frame in front of other markets, of course. It was a very difficult time to trade anyway. Let's go into the market. Let's see what's going on. First of all, let's look if there's a position in front of the Japanese yen. Looking at the dollar versus Japanese yen, we can see a very clear pattern over here. We've got an impulse movement climbing up. we've got an A, B, and C dropping down. The stochastic reached an exhaustion level. RSI is exactly where we want it to be. There's a great potential for an uptrend. Now in this condition, I'm not only placing a trend line at the top of the corrective pattern, but I can also go to a low time frame, 5-minute chart, and even add another trend line which is closer to the current pattern. Now, why can I do that? Because if I'm looking at this structure as a corrective pattern, and my analysis says that this is the A, this is the B, and this is the C, then I can attach a line along the C wave as well. A break beyond this line and a break beyond this line will indicate a great potential for a continuance of an uptrend, and because of that we can join an uptrend using this chart. It's very logical. We know that the C wave is usually forming 5 moves down. We have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5th is just dropping down at the moment. There's a great potential for completing the entire downtrend movement in a choppy overlapping movement, and a potential for a continuance of the sequence for an uptrend. So there's a great potential over here, but again, I would like to go back to the perspective of who's strong and who's weak in the market. The Japanese yen is not among the strongest or the weakest currencies. It's approximately in the middle, and we said that just a second ago. So it will be a good potential for an uptrend, but still we've got better probabilities in the market. So let's go and find them. First of all, let me open a sketch. Let's state who's stronger and who's weaker. US dollar, Australian dollar, and the New Zealand. Again, I'm very happy to see that the New Zealand and the Australian dollar are at the same group. It's indicating a lot of confidence in the market, and from this perspective, only from this perspective, we know that there's a lot of confidence returning to the market, not like the last several weeks. The Swiss franc, the euro, and the pound are expressing the largest weakness in the market. So a great combination would be to express the strong currencies in front of the weakest currencies. So by having this scale, I'm always keeping it in mind. Obviously, we will see potential according to this structure, but still, if you have something opposite, you just can't use that. You can't take that because it's just not the better probability in the market. So let's proceed. We've got the scale. And just for the example, let me open several assets combining this situation. Let's open the dollar versus the euro, for example. Let's see if we've got something over there. As you can see, we've got a great expression of a downtrend expressing stronger dollar in the market. We had good pullback over here. Stochastic climbed up, but unfortunately the market is weak. The euro is so weak that it's not pulling the stochastic high enough. On the other hand, we had a great trade over here with the stochastic showing that there's an exhaustion level for continuing the downtrend. We can see that the dollar is just gaining more and more strength as we talk about the condition between the euro and the dollar. So let's go to the different currencies and see if we've got a potential. Okay. So looking at this chart, got nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. Very quickly, we're going over a variety of opportunities and seeing if there's any potential according to our perspective. Again, euro dollar, stochastic at the top, RSI at the bottom, not climbing strong enough. So I can't say that I would see that as a potential trade. I can't say that I had the ability to join this movement, but it's logical. The market is very volatile, and I said that. And again, we will have an additional liquidity later on after the announcements. The gold is approaching a great opportunity over here. We've got a drop down in an impulse movement. We've got an A, a B, and a C is expected to climb a bit more. And then we'll be able to join a downtrend. In this condition, because 15-minute chart will not separate the waves in a proper manner that will allow us to count them, I suggest that you'll go down to 5-minute chart. And on 5-minute chart, we can see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the A wave. We can see a 1, 2, 3. That should be the B wave. And we can expect to see a bit of more uptrend before we will have a downtrend, and that will be a great trade to catch. Remember, I'm expecting this movement to occur before the announcement. The announcements, both the US dollar announcement and the announcement on the euro, the FOMC, and the European Central Bank, the ECB's President Draghi, both of them will move the market, will change the strength indication. It's very important that once we will receive the announcements, you will view the market through the strength indication in front of the Japanese yen, and by that you'll be able to understand instantly where the effect is taking place, what currency is changing its momentum, who's becoming a stronger currency, who's losing strength, and then you'll be able to position yourself in front of the better probability. So let's go back to the gold. A great potential trade for a downtrend on a 15-minute chart will reach an exhaustion level on the stochastic and will allow us to join a continuance of this downtrend movement. And just as I'm always saying, let's go to the silver, and I'm expecting to see the same potential. Yeah, we do have the same potential. Impulse movement dropping down. We've got a corrective pattern climbing up. Stochastic should climb a bit more, and then we'll be able to catch that one as well. Silver and gold for a put option. Good opportunity. Dollar Japanese yen still showing a good perspective for a call option. We received a cross between the lines. The only thing that we need to expect, the only thing that we need to wait for is a cross beyond these two trend lines. Any cross will signal a potential for an uptrend. Again, not the better probability because the Japanese yen is approximately at the middle in terms of strength and weakness, but definitely a good trade according to our strategy. And you know that the strategy is working very nicely when you're paying attention to the different ingredients. The euro versus the pound, let's think about that. We can see that generally the indicators are indicating a potential for an uptrend. But in this case, we need to go back to the strength indication. As you can see, the euro and the pound both are in the weaker group. This is why, although we've got a great indication for an uptrend potential over here, that shows me that that is a very risky trade because both of them are expressing approximately the same strength, or let's say weakness. So at the moment I will definitely give up this trade. I wouldn't take the risk. Let's proceed. So we went over all the on-demand currencies. Let's see what's going on in front of the dollar. The pound, just 1 second, that's a 1-minute chart. Okay, we can see that the pound is pretty weak, just as the euro. It's not allowing us to catch the exhaustion level above the 75 area. Don't try to play with it. If it's not there, it's not there. The market can continue dropping down only when it'll be ready to allow you to join the movement as our strategy is indicating. Then do that. Don't play around with the market just because you think that's a good opportunity. Again, if you're using other strategy, you're more than welcome to do so. A good indication, dollar versus the Canadian dollar right now for a call option. We can see stochastic dropping down to the 25 area. RSI is at the top. A great trade right now on the dollar versus the Canadian dollar for a call option for half an hour. Let's proceed. Again, the dollar Japanese yen just fluctuating around the same level. I'm expecting it to break the trend line that we've placed earlier. Dollar Swiss franc approached. Again, it's not in the exhaustion level, so we can't participate in that one. It can change the direction instantly. Let's look at the indices. The CAC approaching higher. We don't have an ability to join that movement. And the DAX is showing the same perspective. At the moment, we've got nothing over here. The Dow Jones, I'm expecting it to climb significantly today after we had, let's look at that, after we had just, look at that, it's just an enormous expression of fear in the market, just a huge drop down. Understand, we've dropped down from 15,400 to 14,700. That's an enormous drop down, and of course when I'm talking about that, I'm referring to the larger movement. We had an enormous uptrend on all the indices, the S&P, the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, and all of a sudden we've received a lot of bad announcement, a lot of bad feeling in the market, and a lot of traders pulling funds out of the market. At the moment, we're expecting to see a very nice uptrend. Again, not a huge movement higher because we still haven't they haven't resolved all the issues, but Obama gave a bit of more confidence to the market, and I'm expecting traders to invest in stocks, reinvest in stocks, feeling more confident in that. This is why I'm expecting the Dow Jones to climb up and the Nasdaq as well as the S&P 500. The Nikkei climbed up during the night session. Again, we can see that Japanese yen is approximately at the middle. To yesterday, it was significantly stronger than all the other currencies. It's losing a bit strength at the moment. We see that it's changed its position. Right now, it's in the middle, and I would expect to see a bit more weakness generally in the Japanese market, which will regain the strength of the Japanese yen in front of other currencies. So stay tuned to tonight's session if you're trading during the night session, during the Asian market. I'm expecting the Japanese yen to generally gain strength and the Nikkei to drop down. That is the expectation, only according to the logical pattern that we can see over here, which state that that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we've got an A, B, C climbing up, a good potential. We will see a bit more uptrend and then it'll fall. That is the perspective according to the technical analysis using the Elliott wave. Let's proceed. Let's look at the euro. We know it's one of the weakest. Let's see how it's what's the condition in front of the stronger currencies. I remind you, the stronger currencies are the New Zealand, the Australian dollar, and the US dollar. We've tested it in front of the US dollar, but let's see the expression in front of the Australian dollar and the New Zealand. Again, very strong downtrend, very confident movement toward the strong Australian dollar. In this case, we did not receive any confirmation to trade on a downtrend. And that happens when we've got a very volatile market. But once the market will bounce a bit higher and will form a corrective pattern, it will indicate stochastic higher above 75. And just as we did until today, we can do that on this chart as well, join a continuance of a downtrend. Let's look at the euro versus the New Zealand. Let me open that one. Again, showing a very confident downtrend movement. It seems like the New Zealand is expressing the cleanest movement down. When I'm talking about the expression of both the Australian dollar and the US dollar, combining this structure in front of the euro, it seems like the New Zealand is pulling strongly down. And again, I'm expecting to see here the same formation, a bit more uptrend, stochastic at the top, we'll be able to rejoin this great downtrend movement. Again, I remind you, we've got several announcements today. Do not take trades once the announcement, something like half an hour before the announcements. I'm expecting the market to change its condition later on this trading session, and taking trades using our strategy with this situation right now without the announcement, it's great, but once we'll get closer and closer to the announcement, we'll have a bit of unpredicted markets, and just after we will have the information received and we'll see reaction, then we can join movements according to our strategy. That will be it for today. I wish you all the best with your trades. Have a pleasant day, and bye bye.